me again. I'm here to bug you. I don't know how good the signal is. What I see is a good signal. That doesn't mean I've actually going to broadcast a good signal, so it makes it hard to watch some of my lives. I've really noticed that a lot lately. I want to tell you something about Gen X. I hear all these bad things, and I've said some of them because I know them to be true. But I want to also tell you about the incredible Generation X. You want some superheroes that are for real? Maybe take a look at your mom and dad. What they managed to change in comparison to what their parents were able to change from 60s back into the 40s. Phenomenal. Incredible changes that have never been seen in any country other than here. You wanted to know why people always want to come to America? Well, that's why. Gen X changed our laws for the better. But you gotta know, we're worried, millennials, because nobody's picking up the baton and protecting those freedoms. Nobody. And the very few that are the older Generation X and myself, a boomer. We're the only ones who are saying, please. We're seeing discrimination hitting us again in a way that is totally unexpected. And it's not just against women. Men are being just as defiled as a woman today with the discrimination. Women are turning around and saying, no, men are just seed bearers. They carry the seed, that's it. Yeah, but it takes him and that piece of meat you're describing as a woman, not even a human being. You're not even showing human courtesy. You just want to scream that we don't exist, men and women. That's why I cannot support your movement. I do not think it's right. And for our schools to take it upon themselves to change our children to suit this whatever you have, I'm not sure, because you won't classify yourselves individually as anything. Homosexuals declared they were homosexuals. Men declared they were men. Women declared, and we fought in the 70s because we were considered property. Even though we could vote, we were still property of men, and so were our children. And we fought to be recognized as human beings, as people. That is what makes a woman a woman. I keep hearing, well, tell me what a woman is, and nobody's giving an answer. Here's your answer. It is the millions of women who went to Congress to change our laws that women could be seen as human beings and not blocked from going into restaurants that were designated for men only. And it's mostly men attacking the women. And they can't even give a genuine cause as to why they want to declare themselves women. Never heard one. Not one valid reason why they want to steal the identity of women. unless they're trying to set us back at least 100 years, at least. It's been way more than that. But we did see an opportunity in the 70s to be recognized as women, individual people. And we had to go to Congress and fight for that. And we were abused for standing up, abused by our government, abused by other men who were against women having equal pay, no longer being a property of their husbands, able to get credit cards and mortgages for themselves. All of this was non-existent before 1974. We were fighting for it, but we didn't have it yet. Please, transgenders, as you all know from my other videos, I really don't have a problem with you. What I do have a problem with is you, for one, stealing my identity, and for two, discrimination in ways I didn't think anybody would do to us ever again. You've reduced us down to slaves to clean up after you. You have reduced us down to body parts. And now I see this happening to men by women trying to turn into men. Well, woman, you should be able to turn into a man if that's how you feel. That you're in the wrong body. So if you change, that is for your healing. But you're gonna face other people saying they disagree with this when you're trying to steal the identity of a man, especially men. I'm actually surprised there's not more screaming about it. Look, where I live right now, here in Arkansas, first thing I saw when we moved here was we stopped to get some gas in our local township here in Norfolk. Wonderful little place, Bradburys. We stopped to get some gas, and while we pulled up, we saw this white pickup truck with white power plastered all over the back window. Big, bold letters. And my husband looked at me. And I said, let him try it. Let him try it. You are my husband. I had to declare to my husband that he was mine, so he felt comfortable to go in the store. This is still a prevalent thing in our country, especially out in the backwoods, and it's not a lot of them. Most of these people don't care. As long as you're a good person, they could care less what you look like, where your family came from. They don't care. They just want to be able to keep surviving. And if you're there and you're that kind of person, they're going to accept you. They did my husband. He has seen some backlash. And I want to tell you something. I actually think the store owner might have called the sheriff department just in case something did happen. Because you should have seen the looks on their faces when my half-Mexican, looks very Mexican husband walked into that store. To see that kind of prejudice still alive in this country really bothers me a great deal. We don't see a lot of it, thankfully. We do see occasionally KKK on the license plates of cars here. So if you're not white, be aware this is real. And it's not everywhere that we've seen. In fact, it's really getting, I think I've only seen it 2 or 3 times on a license plate and only one truck. And I've never seen that truck again because the cop that showed up talked to that guy. Now, I had been going into that store for over a year. They knew me. They knew who I was. And I walked in holding hands with my husband. So he felt comfortable in a place that could easily have turned ugly. And it didn't. I think it's because when the sheriff showed up and he walked in the store, you felt the tension drop. And my little sister was with us, and she talked to the officer, and I talked a little to him. My husband talked to him. He was polite and courteous and friendly. It was not we kind of saw him as a good guy. I think, like, we're supposed to see them. They're supposed to be our heroes. And for the most part, they are. A lot of people don't talk about the police today because all the inner city police stuff that has really been not good. And all the people fighting back against it are they're getting lashback from the police department in their local areas. But for the most part, my experience with the police has been good. I only had a few problems I can think of at all. And one was a rookie, but he got fired because he did something illegal on his first day on the job. He stopped someone walking down the street and demanded identification. And I said, well, let me go right here. You can come with me right up to the house. I'll go get my identification. I'm walking to meet my son. No, you cannot do that. Don't you leave. Don't you leave. I'm going to get my ID. I'm not arguing with you. I'm inviting you to come with me. He would not have it. And my son is starting to walk up the street when this officer pulled out a taser because I said, look, I'm going to get my identification. Because he was threatening to hold me for 72 hours. Okay. What the hell? And when he pulled out that taser, my son, Stephen Hatley Jr., he darted so fast that cop never saw him coming. And he jumped in front of me. You'll kill my mom! And he's screaming, my mom just had heart surgery. You're going to kill my mom. You're going to kill my mom. Well, of course, all this commotion brings everybody out. I didn't have a cell phone like we have today. It was just a little flip phone. No cameras, really nothing like that. And my son is trying to protect me. And then people from the neighborhood who happen to all be black and beautiful came over and stood in front of me. These people protected me in a neighborhood where they were killing each other. They protected this white woman and her son from a white cop who was on an ego trip. So when he got me to the police station and took my son too, we were demanding to talk to his superiors. Well, they have to, even back then. They brought his superior officers in. They did an interview with me and my son about what had occurred, and then they went and took witness statements from our neighbors. And I told them there's one way to avoid my lawsuit. This guy's fired. No ifs, ands, or buts, no suspensions, fired. He was gone that afternoon. I get people get ego trips, especially young people. And when we came up with this, I'm offended. Yeah, so what's your right? Be offended. It's my right to not be offended. Or it's my right to be offended by something you say. The rights don't work one way. They work two ways. And they're very important that we keep it that way. Take it from this old boomer. Gen X, I salute you. You're the warriors that made this country freer than it had ever been. And I will not let anybody take that away from you. If I have to get on here every day and preach it until they're listening to me, I will do that. You know why? You deserve to be recognized for all that you gave, for all that you sacrificed, all that you did to improve our country. And Gen Xers, I'm including you all, men, women, and homosexuals. I'm sorry I call them homosexuals, but all terms nowadays have been declared bigotry. So I'm giving you the sexual assignments that I knew you as when I marched in your parades. And that was because you had every right to exist and be accounted for. Just like every black person, every woman, and now every man. Men may have to come up and fight for their own rights to be men because of this movement that's trying to erase us. And they cannot procreate, not without a tube, not without major surgeries. These will be children created in a lab. That's what this movement's about. And that's why they're trying to make sure our children cannot procreate. Never thought I'd see anything like this. Not once did I ever dream that I would see something like this. Never. It's amazing. And it's terrifying at the same time. But I'm begging the younger Gen Xers and the millennials, fight. Because if you don't, everyone is going to lose, including you. You know, when you're facing down that bully at school, who's beat you up countless times, and you're finally tired of it, please get tired of this bully. Make them create a class for their sexuality. We'll accept that. I have no problem with that. But you can't declare to be a woman. It's not right to say we don't exist, that we're a myth. I know you hate the world, Gen X, what it's becoming. Let me put it that way. Not what it is, what you see it becoming. Then speak up with me like we used to do in the old days. Speak up. Have your voice. You've earned it. Somebody's challenging that again. And for women, it's men. Again, for men, it's women. But the rest of this, it's all hype to get you to click and watch. And you do. Do you, millennials, do you feel like you were terrible children, ungrateful, didn't know anything, nobody ever taught you anything? Is that true? Because that's what some Gen Xers are saying. Most say no. Most Gen Xers say no, my children are intelligent, creative, they're smart, they can do things I never thought of doing, they can make and create things that are just amazing, and they're good, productive people. That's what I say about my kids. And only one of them is a millennial, the rest are Gen X. I had my children when I was my first child, just before I turned 19. So, yeah, like my mom, had babies early. Alright guys, I've been on here a long time, and I know that's really hard on the algorithm, even though YouTube says, oh, we can handle it, put out them longer videos. I actually like it. So, well guys, I'm going to shut down for now. Remember, I really do love you. When I say that, it's because for all the mistakes we humans are making, I still love every one of you. And I would fight for you to be as free as anyone else. That wasn't the generation I was born into. That was the era I grew up into. And I have no regrets about that. Every one of you was worth it. So I really do love each and every one of you. It's not the kind of I love you, I'm going to go to bed with you. It's the kind of I love you because you are my sister, my brother. You are my family. And we humans have forgot that, sidetracked by what seemed like a fad that has grown to have such devastation on a society that they are making our grandchildren physically incapable of having children. It's not reversible. Not at all. Not for either gender. If you tamper with the creation of their bodies, you're going to destroy their minds with it. If your child thinks they're in the wrong body, tell them okay. But we got to fight for laws again so that our children aren't defiled. Because they're going after 10, 11, 12, 13-year-old children, and in some states younger, and that can't happen. I understand the population has gotten out of control. I do. I see it everywhere. But there is another way without destroying the entire civilization. I don't think we've got to worry about an asteroid, guys, or a comet hitting us and wiping us out. This really could wipe us out. because nobody would be able to procreate. They could only be made in test tubes. Grown up in tanks. And their brains hardwired against us, I promise you. That's a scary reality. Okay, I gotta go. Angel out.